Right then, so Alex Pereira has officially called out Oleksandr Usyk for a boxing fight. Look, I'm a big fan of both of them, but let's be real here. Oleksandr Usyk would absolutely wreck Alex Pereira in a boxing fight. He would absolutely wipe the floor with him. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. What is the point? Alex Pereira has said that, he's able to compete with, good, high level boxers in sparring, but sparring is sparring. Having a pro fight against, a top level guy, the best heavyweight right now, and one of the best heavyweights to ever do it, is a completely different thing. So yeah, it's pretty dumb from Poatan. I think, if he is to have a boxing fight against someone, um, you know, go and knock out Jake Paul or something like that. That's what I think Poatan should do. Go and knock out Jake Paul. He'll be able to do that without a shadow of a doubt. Going over to fight Oleksandr Usyk is absolutely pointless. No one wants to see it. But I haven't, it just seems like a lot of these MMA fighters haven't learned before from what we've seen. Look at what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou. Look at what Mayweather was able to do to Conor McGregor. Are these fighters not learning? And, people are saying, but look at what Ngannou was able to do against Fury. Yeah. Again, though, that's Tyson Fury being an absolute clown in the build-up, though, and not taking it seriously. Oleksandr Usyk always takes fights seriously. He would absolutely run through Poatan. And they're not, Poatan's lighter than what Usyk is. I mean, Poatan's still a big guy, to be fair. Naturally, he probably could make heavyweight if we're being real, though. He is a big guy. But let's be real here. He has no chance against Oleksandr Usyk in a boxing ring. His style, Alex Pereira's style, it's not a boxing style. Alex Pereira doesn't have a style that will work in the sweet science of boxing. That's the thing. He's got a pretty wide stance, and he likes to set up his low kicks as well, Alex Pereira, with his style. It's not gonna work, in the boxing ring. And he's not gonna probably, I'm sure he'll make the odd adjustment, but it's not gonna work. He has that wide guard. Usyk would have an absolute field day with him in there. Alex Pereira likes to use his reach and, is pretty lanky in there with what he does. I mean, it's just not going to work. And it works in MMA. It's a fantastic MMA style. It's not a boxing style. Poatan can't, he can't box. He's a good kickboxer. He's a good MMA fighter. He's not a boxer. He can't, he can't box. He hasn't got the fundamentals of a boxer at the end of the day. I mean, he has got good fundamentals, but not to be in the sweet science of the sport. Someone like Oleksandr Usyk. That's the thing. It just doesn't really sell. It just doesn't sell. And, I just feel like it's pointless for Alex Pereira to go on and do this fight, if we're being real. I mean, neither guy gains anything out of it. Poatan will get knocked out, and if Usyk wins, it doesn't mean anything to him whatsoever. It does nothing for Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk's not going to take this fight because, he doesn't need to. He probably wants to go and do better things, like fight Dubois or Parker, or even Usyk could actually possibly retire at this point. And, it's not like Usyk's the kind of guy to do an exhibition fight against Alex Pereira. Like, you're just not going to see Oleksandr Usyk do that. He's too disciplined to do that. And, Oleksandr Usyk's all about legacy. Fighting Alex Pereira does absolutely nothing for him at all. So yeah, and it's just not a good look if Usyk fights him, and he's not going to. And Usyk knows that it won't be a good look if he fights him. In my opinion, Alex Pereira he should fight someone like Jake Paul. Like, right now they're probably around they can get to the same fight weight without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, yeah, well, they will. So do that fight if Alex Pereira wants to go to boxing. Fight Jake Paul because it's a big money fight. And let's be real, that's actually going to get a lot of eyes on it. Without a shadow of a doubt it will. That gets more views than what Pereira versus Usyk does. 100%. Like, it's just, this one is just ridiculously obvious who's going to win. And Usyk's got better things to do. I just think it's just annoying that, some other MMA fighters think they can come over to boxing and do it. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's like if Usyk went over to MMA, he's never going to beat Poatan. But, it's Pereira that's came out and wants to fight Oleksandr Usyk in boxing. And, I really like Alex Pereira, but it's delusion of him to think just because he's, he said he's able to compete with some decent high-level boxers in sparring, doesn't mean he's going to go into a pro boxing ring and be able to put up a good fight against Oleksandr Usyk. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately for him. It's just not going to happen. And yeah, it just makes you think though. If Israel Adesanya can knock out Alex Pereira, imagine what Usyk's going to do. And yes, Alex Pereira was very clearly drained against Israel Adesanya in that second fight, very clearly. And, even in that first fight where he got hurt quite a few times in that first fight against Izzy, he was drained. But no matter what, though, Adesanya was still able to hurt him. And he's much smaller than what Usyk is. Imagine what Usyk can do to Poatan. It's just not a fair fight. It's just a dumb move from Pereira, in my opinion. It really is. And, even if Pereira was drained in those Izzy fights, which he was, just imagine what Usyk can do. I mean, look at what Joshua did to Ngannou, for example. Everyone was going on about Ngannou's absolutely unstoppable chin. And then AJ goes in and does what he did to him in 2 rounds. This is different. Ngannou, in my opinion, overall, I mean, from what we've seen from him, Ngannou's not a bad boxer overall. But, I mean, even though this is what Alex Pereira's thought process might be, because, Ngannou is as wild as hell and didn't really have, any amazing boxing attributes. He was just a good slugger on the feet, Ngannou was. And Pereira, he is more technical than what Ngannou was in MMA, without a shadow of a doubt, strike-wise. 100%. And Poatan might think, we can make the odd adjustments here and there going into a fight against Usyk, but it's just not going to work as well. And there are still questions on Pereira's chin. People have been questioning Pereira's chin. It's not going to well if he goes in there against Usyk. He won't be able to deal with the volume. Pereira isn't a massive volume puncher. There's no chance he can even keep up to the pace that Usyk wants to fight at. Pereira is good at, managing the distance and picking a good, accurate shot. That's what Pereira's good at. He's not going to be able to figure out Usyk in there. He's not got the attributes for it. If he thinks he can be competitive, he's out of his mind, because there's just no way he can be. It literally is impossible for Alex Pereira to go into a boxing ring and be competitive with Oleksandr Usyk. He's just not got the style for it, in my opinion. He's not got the style to be in a boxing ring. It will work in kickboxing, it will work in MMA, which it has, it's proven to, but it's not going to work in boxing. We've seen some of Alex Pereira's sparring footage as well. And, he is able to take the front foot and push people back, but it's not going to work against good high-level boxers. It's not. These heavyweight boxers especially as well, they're naturally bigger guys than him. And, they're not going to be getting pushed back like that at all. And he's not going to be able to deal with the pace of someone like Oleksandr Usyk. Pereira won't even really be able to deal with the pace of, someone like Dillian White in there. And Dillian White don't exactly fight at a fast pace, but Pereira won't be able to keep up with that kind of pace or the volume of him. That's the thing. Pereira's not a volume puncher. He won't be able to fight he can't fight at a ridiculously quick pace like some of these heavyweights can. So, yeah, it's just a dumb move. Anyway, it's not going to happen, but that's what I talked about. So anyway, thanks for watching. Speak to you on the next one.